Okay, folks, I'd like to welcome you to another post-game conversation where you get to hear directly from Tribe alums. For this one, we have Mr. Jerome Watters. What a treat. How you doing, Jerome?
I'm good, Dante. Thank you for having me on.
I really appreciate having you on. It was awesome to meet you at homecoming. I guess it's almost a month ago now. And I just appreciate you agreeing to come on. And I've enjoyed catching up with you over the past few weeks, and I'm excited to get started.
Yeah, me
Good.
too. Actually, and I love what you're doing with this. I just want to make sure you're aware of that. I think this is great, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. And I'm honored to have the opportunity to interview you. So let's get right to it. For those who don't know, give us the position you played, your major, and the year you graduated.
I was a defensive back, and at William & Mary, and I graduated in 1983, and majored in economics, and very very happy about that choice as well.
Yeah, I think folks will see that you're one of the few that actually still do what you majored in. So that I think that's pretty cool, but we'll get to that.
Yes.
And so you're a Maryland guy, near and dear to my heart. Not now, but your origin. So tell us about your journey to William and Mary.
Yeah, I went to a Bel Air High School, grew up in Bel Air, Maryland, and went through Bel Air Elementary, Bel Air Middle, Bel Air High. Bel Air is a great place to grow up. And we had a pretty good football team at Bel Air. We were definitely the best in the county consistently. And I had the pleasure of playing with my older brother through that time at Bel Air. And he was a year ahead of me. And fortunately, he, as well as another player, in his same graduating year, were recruited by William & Mary, and they both decided to go. My brother's name is Jeff, and this other player is Rich Crisco, and they both attended William & Mary. And a year later, William & Mary came knocking on my door, and as well as James Madison and Virginia Military Institute. But I really didn't want to go to VMI, just not my scene. I did take a look at James Madison University and was very, very impressed. Good school, great location. Enjoyed the visit, definitely.
Sure.
But I would save my best visit for last, and that was William & Mary. And my brother showed me around, as well as Rich Crisco and a few other guys, and really took a liking to Tribe Country, and I decided to choose William & Mary, and I'm very glad I did.
As are we. Yeah, I didn't have an older brother, but similar to your story, Marcus Washington. So shout out to Marcus Washington, and I were friends in high school, and I remember he was like all met defensive lineman, and Marcus, where'd you go to school? William & Mary. I'm like, William & Mary. What's William & Mary? So for me, I had no idea what William & Mary was. Lo and behold, the next year, hey, what school are you going to? William & Mary. So
There you go.
similar, but not the same. So I did go there knowing at least one person, and so that's an awesome story.
It helps. It helps definitely.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, so you made the great decision. You got to William & Mary. Tell us about your experience at William & Mary.
I had a good time at William & Mary, I have to admit. It didn't start exactly the way I wanted it to. As a freshman, I mean, you come out of high school, you're highly recruited. You've had good football. You're playing all the time. Playing both ways, all that kind of stuff in high school, and then you come to college, and you're pretty much a nobody. And so, I mean, we had two separate locker rooms. There was the traveling squad locker room, and then there was the freshman locker room, and I was down there in the freshman locker room where there were lots of cockroaches and things of that nature. Pretty no ventilation, no heat. Just some hand-me-down uniforms, things of that nature. Yeah, not a real great experience, but it's part of the process. It was about learning about William & Mary, learning about the football program. I think you had a gentleman on earlier, Chris Garrity, that you've done one of these interviews with. My freshman year, that group that recruited me and the coaching staff, they turned over right after my freshman year. They were let go, and so a new group came in that winter, and it was pretty much a clean slate. Everybody was equal as far as who they knew. So they'd heard about certain players, of course, but this was my opportunity to actually do something, because I was pretty much a nobody before that. And so, yeah, we had a pretty intense off-season program, and the guys were fighting for positions, and I had a chance to compete at the defensive back level. And so my sophomore year, I was second on the right corner and the left corner. I backed up both cornerbacks. And so we get to, and I was on the traveling squad. We get to NC State for our first game. Yes, NC State. Didn't go very well. They beat us 42-0. But in the first quarter, late in the first quarter, one of the guys I was backing up broke his ankle on a play. And so at that point, I was, next man up. And so I went in, and I started from there on out, and the rest of my career with William Mary. So yeah, from my sophomore year through my senior year, I started at defensive back, and it was a whole lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time on campus. I enjoyed playing. I had a great time at William Mary.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So you had a great time. You started for 3 years. You finally get to graduation. Tell us about your journey from, graduation up to where you are now.
Yeah, I was looking to stay in economics as best I could, because that's what I majored in. And I really liked the economics. I had a couple of job offers at banks, a couple of banks. They seemed to be interested in economics majors, but the pay just wasn't what I was looking for. And I also had interviewed with an organization called the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They came down on campus, and interviewed with them. From my work in school, I'd seen much of the data produced by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, consumer price index data, employment and unemployment numbers. So I was very familiar with them. And once I heard they were coming down on campus, I definitely signed up for that interview. Absolutely. And I ended up getting the job. And they're based in Washington, D.C., headquartered in D.C. So I was there for a good 4 or 5 years. Then I decided I wanted to just check out a few other things. So I decided to go to law school. And I went to the University of Virginia Law School for a year. Did not like it. It didn't go well. not a success at all.
Yeah, I love that.
So I tried a few things in the private sector. They were okay, but they didn't pay as well as what I was getting at BLS. And I actually ran into somebody at BLS, and they were asking me what I was doing. And I spoke to him, and happened to be an executive at BLS, which was good. And I let him know that I was interested in coming back. And he said, "We'd love to have you back." And so I re-upped with BLS, and I've been there ever since. And actually, I met my wife in the DC area. She was going to school in DC at the time, and she was in a healthcare executive program. And her program took her to Dallas-Fort Worth for a job, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So it took me a year to work out a transfer. So we lived apart for a year. I was kind of batching it for a year again. Yeah. And then, yeah. But I worked out a transfer, and we've been here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area since 1992. And it's been good for us, been very good for us. And at this point in my career, I'm the Assistant Regional Commissioner for the Division of Federal State Cooperative Programs. So I oversee several economists in producing employment and unemployment numbers and wage.
And you do it over many states too, right?
We do it over 11 different states. It goes from Texas to Montana. So it's quite a big region. And so aside from my 17 economists that I deal with, I'm responsible for over 300 people in the States and the work they do for us. So it's interesting, very interesting work.
Not a small task. Not a small
Yeah.
task at all, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, this is awesome. I again, Maryland guy.
Yes. All
I
right.
love it. I also have roots before I started my firm in the government as well, so I get it. Um, Although when I left the government, I never went back, but that's a whole different story. But this has been awesome. Is there anything you want to leave with folks?
Sure. Yeah, for college, it was like I said, I had a great time in college. I was fortunate enough to play football. Then playing football and going to school at a place like William and Mary was not the easiest thing to do. I had to put in quality time in both places. There wasn't a lot of time to waste time, but I still managed to have a good time. I joined the Kappa Sigma fraternity, which was full of football players. So glad I did. Still great friends with a lot of those folks, and that was a great time as well. What I would suggest is if you're on campus, you're still a student athlete, connect as much as you can, network as much as you can, enjoy the experience. You're unique. You're one of a few. Take advantage of all the opportunities. See as much as you can. Put your time in the classroom, and put your time and effort in as being the best athlete you can be. And you'll do well, and you will be very happy that you did. Trust me, be very happy. So that's what I would leave for folks.
I love it. I wholeheartedly agree. I wish I had invested so much more in relationships and connections when I was on campus. I was totally naive to all of that. And so uh one of the reasons why we do this, right? To try to right some of the wrongs that some of us had, and to just also we know the beauty and the power of relationships and network, and so we want to continue to cultivate and build. And so just your message was just, it hits home for me for sure. And again, I want to just say thank you for the opportunity to interview you and sitting down. And I'm also looking forward to, since you said you're going to come back more often, I'm looking forward to seeing you and talking to you throughout
Yes,
the remaining years.
yes, definitely. And yeah, I think I've been remiss in that. I was focusing on coming back every 5 years. It's kind of my graduating class time. But yeah, it's critical. You need to be back on campus more often. There's just too many relationships, too many guys that I want to see. And so, yeah, I'm going to try to make this a much more frequent thing. And I look forward to seeing you again, sir, for sure. Really appreciate what you're doing. I think it's great. And again, thank you for letting me be a part of it.